They never asked me what I wanted. Not once. They just assumed I'd open my door, my wallet, my life. Like a vending machine that never runs out of favors. I'm Camilla, 32, a senior accountant in Chicago's Loop, living in a 1,000 square foot condo with a sliver of Lake Michigan view, pieced together with thrift store furniture I sanded and stained myself. My life is quiet, deliberate, like a spreadsheet balanced to the penny, but to my family. I'm not a person, I'm a function, a safety net for their chaos. My older sister, Erin, 30, has a talent for turning failure into tragedy, and my parents, Carol and Frank, have a talent for making me clean it up. I used to think it was love. Now I know it's leverage. I wasn't always this way. Sharp-edged and guarded, growing up in a Naperville split level. I was the kid who organized the pantry at 10 while Erin painted messy watercolors that Mom taped to the fridge. I balanced the family checkbook when Dad's hours got cut. My pencil scratching through their worry, they called me responsible, reliable, but never asked how I felt. Erin's tantrums got hugs, my silence got a pat on the head. By high school, I knew my role, the fixer. The one who didn't break. I studied accounting at DePaul, graduated with a 3.8 and landed a job at a firm nobody's heard of. Crunching numbers in a cubicle under fluorescent lights. I saved for my condo, a corner unit in Logan Square, bought without a cosigner. Every nail I hammered into those walls felt like a promise to myself, this is mine. Erin. Though, she's a different story. 2 years older, she's always 5 steps behind. She lost her first job at a Wicker Park cafe, said the manager was toxic. Her next gig, a retail job in Lincoln Park, ended when she forgot to show up. Evictions followed, each apartment messier than the last. Roommates jealous of her charm. Bills piled up. But Erin's always trying her best. Mom and Dad never question it. They pivot, plead, and turn to me. You're stable. Camilla, Mom would say, her voice soft as a trap. You're lucky you can help. Lucky. That word stung worse than the $500 Erin borrowed for a music festival. Never repaid. Or the late-night calls when she needed gas money 10 miles from home. At 24, I co-signed her car loan, a used Honda, because she swore this job, a receptionist gig, would stick. 3 weeks later, she quit, and the payment stopped. My credit score, pristine at 750, took the hit, a 100-point drop that felt like a betrayal. I rebuilt it, month by month, while Erin moved back home. Her stuff cluttering Mom and Dad's garage. At 26, Mom called, voice shaky, saying the mortgage was past due Dad's layoff. Erin's emergencies. I wired $2,000 the next day. My savings gutted. No one thanked me. That Christmas, they gave me a mug, world's best daughter. I almost laughed. At 28, Erin got a DUI, her first we knew of. After swerving through a Bucktown intersection, Dad begged me to keep it quiet, family reputation. He said, I paid $3,000 for her lawyer. My bonus gone. Erin never mentioned it. When she got pulled over again a year later, I said no. Mom called me cold. Said I didn't understand worrying for someone I loved. Erin's life is harder than yours. She snapped. That's when I knew. They didn't see me. They saw a faucet, always dripping when they needed it. I started pulling back. Polite but firm. I'll think about it, I'd say. Dodging their requests. They noticed their voices were sharper, their guilt heavier. One night, alone in my condo, I stared at my front door, its deadbolt gleaming. It wasn't mine, not really. When they needed something, it was ours. Like my time, my money, my peace. I called a realtor the next week, sold the place quietly, no fanfare. I moved to a 900 square foot rental in Wicker Park, 5 miles away, with creaky floors and a fire escape view of a taco truck. I didn't tell them, not out of spite, but survival in my family. Love came with strings, and I was tired of being tangled. They thought I'd always say yes. They were wrong, and Sunday dinner was about to prove it. Sunday dinners in Naperville had a rhythm, like a song stuck on repeat. The same green bean casserole, the same chipped oak table, the same undercurrent of pressure wrapped in politeness. I drove 20 miles from Wicker Park, the Chicago skyline fading in my rear view, knowing something was brewing. Mom greeted me at the door, her smile too wide, like she was selling something. "You're so thin." "Camilla," she said, her eyes scanning me like a barcode. "Are you eating?" Dad nodded, distracted, muttering, "Hey, kiddo." His gaze on the Bears game flickering in the living room. Erin slouched at the table, scrolling her phone, her chipped nail polish a clue she hadn't worked in weeks. I sat, the air thick with unspoken plans. We made it through the salad, Mom praising the crisp September weather like it deserved a medal. Dad refilled his glass, the clink of ice louder than his words. Erin picked at her food, her fork scraping the plate like it might fight back. I knew the signs. Mom's sweetness, Dad's silence. Erin's avoidance they were circling, waiting to drop their request. I sipped my water, counting the seconds. Then Mom set down her fork, folded her hands, and gave me that practice smile, the one she used for guilt-dipped favors. "Camilla," she began, voice soft as a lullaby. "We've been talking. Erin's had a rough patch, and, well, she's going to move in with you for a bit, just until she's back on her feet." It landed like a brick through a window. No question, no discussion, just a decision, served with casserole and a size of expectation. I looked at Erin. She glanced up, then away, like a kid caught cheating on a test. Dad cleared his throat, bracing for my pushback. Mom's eyes locked on mine, daring me to be the selfish one. The room held its breath. I could have argued. Listed every dollar I'd paid, every night I'd lost to their messes. Instead, I smiled, light as a breeze. "Of course," I said, "if it helps Erin, I don't see why not." The silence was sharp, a knife through their tension. Mom blinked, caught off guard. Dad exhaled, like he'd dodged a tackle. Erin leaned back, a smug curl to her lips, like she'd won a bet. They thought I'd caved, same old Camilla, reliable as a sunrise. They didn't notice my stillness, the way my hands stayed calm in my lap. They didn't ask where I lived, didn't know I'd sold my Wowan 200-square-foot condo weeks ago, trading it for a rental they'd never see. I'd moved 5 miles across Chicago, my new address a secret I hadn't shared. They thought they'd scripted my life, but I'd rewritten the ending. As Mom chattered about moving logistics, her voice a blur, I sipped my water, tasting freedom. They'd planned an invasion, but they were marching to the wrong door. The drive back to Wicker Park after dinner felt like shedding a costume. Chicago's skyline glittered, a constellation of glass and steel. But my new rental, a 900-square-foot walk-up with a fire escape overlooking a neon-lit taco truck, felt like the first place I could breathe. I'd sold my Logan Square condo 3 weeks earlier, a decision that wasn't sudden but carved from years of erosion, sitting in my old place one night. I'd traced the cracks in my life every knock on my door, every call from Mom, every emergency that wasn't mine. The condo, with its polished floors and lake view windows, had become a stage for their demands, so I met a realtor at a Starbucks on Diversey, signed papers over a $4 latte, and watched my signature dissolve their claim on me. The sale was quick, quiet, like closing a book I'd never liked reading. My new apartment was different, smaller, raw. Mine, the walls were bare. No family photos. Just a thrift store mirror and a potted fern I hadn't killed yet. I'd chosen it for the distance, 5 miles from my old life. and the anonymity of a street where nobody knew my name. That Sunday night, I sat on my couch, a $50 Craigslist find, sipping chamomile tea, the steam curling like a secret. My phone buzzed. Mom's first text. "We'll bring Erin's mattress Saturday." She's excited I didn't reply. Another came from Dad loading boxes Friday night. "Let us know if you need help." I let it sit, unanswered, like a stone dropped in a pond. Their words assumed I'd clear space, rearrange my days, and absorb Erin's chaos without a ripple. They'd done it before, but this time, I wasn't listening. I thought about the last time I'd tried to say no. 2 years ago, when Erin wanted to crash for a month, she'd called me a boring robot in a text, laughing it off. But it cut deep. A reminder I was only as good as my yeses. I'd spent that night in my old condo, tallying every favor the $200 for her phone bill. The weekend, I drove 30 miles to pick her up from a bar. The hours I'd spent justifying their love. It wasn't anger that pushed me to sell, it was clarity. I deserved a door I could lock without guilt. So I'd moved, told no one, and let the realtor handle the rest. My new lease, signed in black ink, was my first rebellion. Quiet as a whisper, but heavy as iron. By Tuesday. Mom's texts grew insistent, Camilla. "Do you need the place cleaned before Erin moves in Wednesday?" Another she's bringing her dishes. Won't be a burden. I laughed into my coffee, picturing Erin's unwashed plates stacked in her last apartment, a health hazard in Bucktown. I didn't correct them, didn't hint at the truth. I let their plans stack like cards, waiting for the table to tilt. Thursday night, I walked the Chicago River, the water reflecting streetlights like scattered coins. My phone vibrated Mom again, confirming Saturday's move. I slipped it into my pocket, untouched. I wasn't cruel, just doing my weight, my morning jogs, my quiet evenings with a book, my audits under the Loop's fluorescent hum. These were mine now, and I wouldn't trade them for their approval. Friday, I worked late, spreadsheets glowing on my screen, numbers aligning where my family never did. A coworker asked about my weekend. I shrugged, said I had plans. I didn't mention the storm brewing 5 miles away. Hannah's eyes widened. "You're not serious," she said. But I'd already decided to let them show up at a door that wasn't mine. Saturday morning, I'd be elsewhere. Sipping coffee, letting a stranger answer their knock. They'd built their castle on my back, but I'd slipped out the gate, and the drawbridge was up. Saturday morning, I woke to the hum of Wicker Park waking up. The taco truck outside my window hissed, sending cumin-scented steam into the dawn. I didn't check my phone. Didn't need to. I knew they'd be at the Logan Square condo by 9 a.m. Erin's mattress strapped to Dad's SUV, Mom clutching her purse like a shield. I pulled on sneakers and jogged to Lincoln Park's farmers market, 3 miles away. The city pulsing under a crisp September sky. Stalls overflowed with apples, pumpkins, and a $3 loaf of sourdough I bought just to hold something real. My phone buzzed once, twice, 3 times. I let it hum, a wasp trapped in my pocket. The 4th call broke through as I stood by a honey vendor, the lake shimmering in the distance. Camilla Mom's voice was brittle, panic slicing through. "What's going on?" "There's a man here, says he lives in your condo, says you don't live here." I let the silence stretch, picturing them on the porch, bags at their feet, the new tenant a stranger in flannel blinking at their confusion. "Camilla, answer me." I sipped my coffee, the paper cup warm against my palm. "I sold it," I said. Voice even. "Weeks ago. I moved out. Didn't think it mattered you never asked where I lived." The line crackled with their shock. Mom's gasp, Dad's low curse, and Erin muttering something sharp. "You lied." Dad snapped. "You said she could move in." I tilted my head. "Though they couldn't see," I said. "If it helps Erin. I don't see why not. I didn't say where. Another pause. Heavier, like the air before a storm. Mom's voice trembled. Young and lost. So what, we're just supposed to figure it out now? I didn't answer. The market buzzed around me, kids chasing balloons. A guitarist strumming near a cider stand, but I was still. Rooted. They'd planned a siege. But the castle was gone. I imagined them standing there. Mom's lipstick smudged. Dad's knuckles white. Erin kicking a duffel bag in her scuffed boots. The tenant probably shut the door. His patience thin, leaving them on a porch that wasn't mine. I'd sold it for $320,000, a number I hadn't shared. A clean break inked in a lawyer's office off Michigan Avenue. You didn't tell us, Mom hissed, her voice a blade. You never said a word. No. I said, I didn't. I hung up. The click louder than their protests. My phone lit up again, Dad. Then, Erin. I let it go to voicemail. Each missed call a brick in a wall I was finally building. I walked to the lakefront. The water lapping at the concrete. Gulls slicing the sky. A woman sold bracelets nearby. Her smile easy. Unburdened. I bought one. A $5 leather band. Slipping it on my wrist. It wasn't about the trinket. It was about choosing something for me. My family thought they'd scripted my surrender. But I'd rewritten the scene. They stood on a stranger's porch, their plans unraveling, while I stood here, 10 miles from their chaos, the city mine in a way they'd never understand. I wasn't hiding, wasn't running. I was free, and they'd just knocked on the wrong door. The lakefront's calm didn't last. I knew they'd find me, their determination a tide pulling them across Chicago's grid. By sunset, I was back in Wicker Park, my 900-square-foot rental glowing under a single lamp. The fire escape rattled as a neighbor climbed down, her laughter mixing with the taco truck's sizzle below. I'd barely set my farmer's market bracelet on the counter when 3 sharp knocks cracked the quiet, clipped, impatient, like a creditor collecting a debt. I peered through the peephole. Mom. Her lipstick faded. Hair frayed, Dad, jaw tight, Erin, arms crossed, a duffel at her feet. Their SUV idled 50 feet away, boxes stacked in the trunk, as if my door was just another checkpoint. I opened it halfway. The chain lock taut. You found me, I said, voice flat as the lake I'd left behind. Mom's eyes narrowed, her flush deepening. We tried calling. Camilla, we didn't think you'd actually. She faltered, then pushed on. We didn't think you'd be here. Acting like this. Dad stepped forward, his voice rising. You said Erin could move in. Now we're here, 20 miles from home with her things, and you're treating us like strangers. I didn't flinch. Didn't raise my voice. I never said she could move in here. I said it at the old place, which, if you recall, I don't own anymore. Erin shoved past Dad, her cheeks red, not from shame, but fury. This is petty. Camilla, you act like you're above us. But this is cruel. Her voice cracked, but her eyes were dry, calculating. I tilted my head, the chain lock glinting between us. You drove across the city, packed your life, to move into an apartment you didn't confirm I still had. That's not cruelty. That's the assumption. Erin's lips parted, but no words came. Dad's hand landed on her shoulder, his voice edged with warning. Enough, Camilla. We're not leaving. You owe this to your sister. Oh. The word hung like damp laundry, heavy with years of unspoken contracts. Every $100 I'd wired, every 2 a.m. call I'd answered. Every sacrifice they'd tallied but never thanked, it was all there. A ledger I'd never signed. I stepped back, picked up my phone from the counter. What are you doing? Mom asked, her voice sharp as a snapped twig. I didn't answer. Just dialed. 3 rings. Then a calm voice. 911. What's your emergency? I kept my eyes on them, my tone steady as a ledger's bottom line. I have family members outside my apartment, refusing to leave. They're not on the lease, not invited. I'd like to report trespassing. Aaron's mouth fell open. A silent gasp. Dad swore, low and guttural, his fist clenching. Mom looked like I'd torn a page from her script, her whisper almost pleading. Camilla, you're calling the police on your family. I held her gaze, unflinching. I asked you to leave. You didn't. The dispatcher requested my address. I gave it. My voice clear over the rustle of Erin's duffel as she backed away. This'll ruin everything. Erin spat, her voice shaking. What'll people think of you? I nodded. Slowly. They'll think I stopped opening my door. 10 minutes later, a Chicago PD patrol car pulled up, its lights cutting through the dusk. The officer, tall, her badge glinting, stepped out, hand near her belt, but relaxed. Evening, she said, her radio crackling. We got a call about trespassing. I nodded. That's me. She glanced at Mom. Dad, and Aaron. The SUV's trunk still open. Boxes untouched. Ma'am, sir. You need to leave the premises. Dad's voice rose, desperate. This is our daughter. It's a family matter. The officer's gaze didn't waver. This is her residence. You're not allowed here without permission. Aaron looked ready to cry or scream, her hands balled into fists. You'll regret this, Camilla. I met her eyes, calm as the lakefront at dawn. I've regretted everything until now. This is the first thing I'm sure of. They left, the SUV's tires crunching gravel, Mom's silhouette rigid in the passenger seat. The officer nodded to me, her notepad snapping shut. Call if they come back. I thanked her, closed the door, and slid the deadbolt home. The silence wasn't empty. It was mine. A space I'd carved from their chaos, across the hall. Mrs. Lopez cracked her door, her eyes soft. You okay? Honey? She whispered. I smiled, small but real. Yeah, I am. The next morning, my phone was a battlefield 12 missed calls, 5 from Mom, 2 from Dad. The rest from cousins and family friends I hadn't seen since my DePaul graduation. Texts flooded in, sharp as broken glass. How could you do this to Erin? Your mom's heartbroken. Erin's sleeping in her car, happy now, I scrolled. Each message a pinprick, but none drew blood. Then I found it Mom's Facebook post. Public. 3 paragraphs dripping with heartbreak emojis, paired with a faded photo of Erin in pigtails, clutching a teddy bear. We raised our daughters to care for each other. It began. But one has forgotten what family means. Camilla, so successful, has turned her back when we needed her most. Comments piled up Aunt Linda's shameful, a cousin's sobbing emoji, strangers I'd never met calling me heartless. I sat at my Wicker Park kitchen counter, a $10 IKEA stool creaking under me, and opened my laptop. At 2 a.m., I'd compiled my truth screenshots of bank transfers, $200 for Erin's phone, $3,000 for her DUI lawyer, each a silent scar. I added a scan of my name on her car loan, followed by the collections notice that cost me 100 credit points, and a receipt for the condo sale. $325,000 wired to my account? I typed one line. No hashtags, no flair I didn't abandon my family. I stopped paying their emotional rent. I posted, then shut the laptop, not waiting for likes or replies. I didn't need applause, just the weight off my chest. By evening, my phone glowed again. Mom, Erin, a cousin's number. I didn't read the messages. Didn't need their rhythm of shock, rage, guilt, pleading. I blocked them, one by one, my fingers steady as a pen crossing out a bad debt. I boiled water, steeped chamomile tea, the mug warm in my hands. Steam rising like a promise I'd made to myself. Stepping onto my balcony, I felt the September chill. Soft, not biting. The kind that reminds you you're alive. Chicago's skyline sparkled 3 miles away. Headlights weaving like threads in a tapestry. A dog walker in a puffy coat waved from the sidewalk. I waved back. The gesture small but unbound. Inside. I turned off the lights. Kitchen, living room, hall leaving only the fern's shadow on the wall. Lit by streetlight. No family photos. No echoes of their voices. The silence hummed. A song I'd written without their notes. They were out there, rewriting me as the villain, the cold one, the daughter who'd failed them. Let them. I hadn't come to be loved, only to live. My tea cooled, the city breathed, and for the first time, I was home. In the weeks following that turbulent Saturday, I found myself walking Chicago's streets with a new rhythm, each step lighter, as if I'd shed a coat I'd worn too long. The lesson wasn't immediate, not a lightning bolt, but a slow dawn, rising over the rooftops of Wicker Park. I learned that love doesn't have to be a ledger, balanced by favors or weighed by guilt. For years, I'd believed my worth lay in what I could give: dollars, time, solutions, because that's what my family taught me. Their hands always open, their gratitude always absent. But standing on my balcony that night, the city's pulse syncing with my own, I understood I am enough without being useful. Saying no, locking my door. Choosing silence over their chaos, it wasn't betrayal. It was fidelity to myself. I'd spent decades fearing I'd lose them if I stopped giving. But in their absence, I found space to breathe. To dream of a house maybe 2,000 square feet. With a garden I'd tend alone. The lesson wasn't about cutting ties, but planting roots. Ones that didn't tangle with their expectations. Mrs. Gas Lopez's quiet nod from across the hall. The barista who knew my order. The fern thriving on my windowsill, these were my anchors now. Small but steady, I learned that family isn't owed my sacrifice. It's earned through respect. And mine had spent theirs long ago. Chicago's skyline, glittering 3 miles away, reminded me daily I could build a life that was mine. Not a stage for their scripts.